Hey, it's Emma Romano here, founder of the Thrive and Life Foundation, self-healing coach, and the midwife to your personal alchemy.
I am Kelly Bowen, founder of the Heaven Within Foundation, CEO of Lifestyle Finance Australia, finance expert, life and business coach.
And you are listening to Inspired Conversations,
where we talk about the things that really matter. Yes, we go there.
We share together what's exciting us, inspiring us, and having the most profound impact on our lives and our clients' lives. And we do this to elevate and inspire you.
We cover it all from life, body, love, relationships, trauma healing, addictions, business, money, and all things woo-woo.
So sit back, relax,
and get ready to be inspired and laugh the fuck out loud.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 9, and we are talking about
narcissism.
Ooh,
it's a hot topic, Kel. It's a hot topic.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And we have an intention of you can't talk about narcissism without talking about gaslighting. And we want to bring some different light to this and bring some different flavors and not just point the finger at narcissists and narcissistic behavior. And we want to talk about points of attraction in terms of how you might attract a narcissist into your life. And also, if you do have narcissistic behavior, what your healing path looks like. Because there is a difference between a true narcissist who is narcissistic at core with the self-loathing and somebody who has a very active fight defense mechanism that is displaying narcissistic behavior. And when they bring regulation back to their nervous system, that behavior disappears. There's a very big difference. So we don't want to blanket label, which, Em and I were literally talking about it before we jumped on, because there is a lot of blanket labeling going on within the personal development space. Same around gaslighting, and there's also 2 different flavors of that, which we'll get into. And then we also wanted to go a little bit deeper in terms of the point of attraction to talk about what has you energetically attract narcissists into your reality and what your healing paths are moving forward to dissolve that points of attraction.
Do you know what? I really love to share, just for the first couple of minutes, my experience with narcissism.
Absolutely.
So I was born into a family with 2 very clear, very strong narcissistic characters. One was my father, and the other one was my grandmother, which is on my mum's side. So I had them on both sides.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I was lucky enough that my father left when I was 10 months old. And I know that sounds strange, but I really was lucky enough that he left at 10 months old. Some people go, "Oh, you poor thing, you didn't have your father out." No. It was a good thing, right? It was a good, and he came in and out of my life. And I learned very, very early on how to play the game with a narcissist. Very natural for me. I know how to talk to them. I know how to play the game. I know how to get what I want out of them. I know how to placate a narcissist within a snap of a finger.
Yeah.
I know how to work it. And that is because I was so close to my grandmother. So I've had a lot. So I've had my father, I've had my grandmother. I was married, my first marriage, great guy, but he had a lot of narcissistic traits, and it was all trauma-based. It was just all trauma-based. He's not the true narcissist at all, just narcissistic behaviors. And of course, I see so many couples and do a lot of relationship work, and I work with, say the victim of a narcissist or the partners or the ex-partners. And I also work with a lot of narcissists. So I've had nearly 51 years of narcissism, Kel.
Wow. That's a lot. That deserves the expert status.
Yeah. The expert.
So tell me a little bit about, or tell our listeners a little bit about, so being that was sort of your early childhood coding, how did that then translate into your experience of relationships and other people as you went into more sort of your teenage years or adult life?
I was the classic, what you would call a fawner. I was what people would call a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I needed people to need me. I was very codependent. So I found my worth by people needing me. So who better than to hang around with a taker?
Exactly.
You know, we're a match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I gave and gave and gave and gave and gave. I wouldn't want to upset anybody. So I was the people pleaser. I was such a people pleaser that if you ask me my favorite color, I go, what was yours? And you say, if you went purple, I go, oh my God, me too. But that's how much of a people pleaser I was. And to be honest, Cal, and you guys listening, sometimes I still fall into this.
I do too. Totally. This is like a lifelong behavior, learning to unplug from it, that I only brought conscious attention to it really since deeply understanding it in the last 9 months. Like, it's a big habit to break.
It's a huge habit to break, and it's so ingrained to me because my space in my family, so I'm an only child. It was my mum and I, but my mum and I lived with my uncle, my mum's brother, until I was about 6 and he got married. And there was my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandfather and I were very close because we're both fawners. So we're both people pleasers. We're both givers, give.
Always easy hanging out with people like you. You have a great time.
Yeah. And my grandmother was a real taker. So, you know, really traumatized as a child. She just wasn't, no one was emotionally there for her. She was sent off to boarding school at the age of 6. Very sensitive woman. And she just needed a lot of outside validation of who she was. And I was the perfect grandchild because I gave it to her.
Yeah.
I knew as soon as if I knew she was in a bad mood, so if there'd be massive arguments. Now, my grandmother was actually, I love her. So she died, she passed last year at 100 years old.
Wow. That's a good innings.
Good innings, right? But so when she was good, when she was happy and everyone was running rings around her and telling her she was fabulous, she was amazing. But if someone was questioning her or saying to her, you know, I don't like the way you do that, she would actually get violent.
Wow.
And she was in a lot of competition with my mother. So my grandmother always had to be the most beautiful, had to be the most glamorous, had to be the most, very jealous, very competition. And my mum is a beautiful woman. And so my grandmother was in massive competition with my mother. You know, and she didn't want my mother to be pretty or beautiful. So she would get very violent and go for my mum's face, scratch her, try and it was horrible. But my space in the family was to placate everybody. I was the calmer. So I learned I remember one of my earliest memories, I must have been about 3, I think. And I remember my mum on the floor with my grandmother on top of her, really getting violent with her. And I laid on my mum's face. Because my grandmother must have been going for a face. And I laid on my mum's face. I had my belly on my mum's face. And I looked at my grandmother and I gave her this look. And it was, don't fuck with me. And it shocked my grandmother so much that she got up and she walked away. And that's when I went, oh, I have a lot of power here. And that's when I learned how to play her. And there was 2 things I knew what to do. One was either she would have this real savage look on her face. And where her children didn't know what to do, they would try and convince her of her wrongs.
The worst thing you can do for somebody with who is narcissistic or narcissistic behaviors, because they will defend it till the cows come home.
Yeah, and they'll lie. They'll do anything that, you know, they'll just blatantly lie. They'll gaslight. They'll do anything.
They'll twist it back and make it your fault.
They'll make you look like the drama queen or the drama king. They'll make you look like the fucking idiot. They'll make you look like you're going nuts. But what I did was I would look at her and say, you look really ugly like that. They don't want to look ugly. And she would stop and she'd run away. And she'd run away in her bedroom. And I swear to God, she'd come back with lipstick on to do the rest of the fight. In a minute.
I'm not laughing. That's not
funny. How crazy is this?
It's wild.
And then, so I tell you the sort of place, my grandmother would have a Chanel outfit. She had the most expensive fur coat in the 80s. but we didn't have a nice couch to sit on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so she always looked the piece. She always looked spot on. Everything was perfect. She looked gorgeous, but all our plates had chips in them. You know, so if I said to her, now, Nonnie, you look beautiful. That was our name for her, Nonnie. I said, you look beautiful now, bang, I placated her, she'd go to bed. I could defuse an argument in seconds. That was my place. So I learned very quickly how to be a fawner. And maybe Kel, can you explain fawning to those people who don't understand what that word means?
Yeah. So a fawner is, most people are very familiar, and we spoke about this, I think it was in episode 6, where we talked about triggers and defense mechanisms. So fawning is part of your innate defense mechanism, where you've got 4 choices that your nervous system will run through to see what's most appropriate to the situation to keep you safe. So you've got fight, which is the narcissistic style defense, which is it's all about me, control equals love, control equals safety, which is what we're talking about here. Then you have the flight, which is, can I run away from the danger? Then you have the freeze, which is, if I stand really still, I'm going to buy myself a bit of time to either decide whether, if I just stay really still, the danger will pass, or if I stay really still, then I can decide whether I want to fight it, run away from it, or do this next one, which is fawning, which is the magnet for the fight defense mechanism, or the narcissists. So fawning is a very codependent style defense mechanism, because by the time you get to fawn, you've realized that you can't outrun the danger, you can't fight the danger off. Being still isn't going to help you because it's still coming for you. So you have to choose the 4th one, which is a way of trying to placate the danger, which means is, if I merge with you and try and befriend you, then either you're not going to hurt me as much, or it will pass faster. And this is also where the emotional gifted child comes from, because if you have been in an environment that was coded with a lot of this fight style defense mechanism, which is where any form of questioning or perceived criticism was met with an attack to try and deflect what's going on, you become hypersensitive to everybody else's emotional needs in your environment. And you learn very quickly, just like Emma was talking about, how to play it like a fiddle. So, like, when you can literally read a room to the point of, like, before things are about to escalate, what so-and-so needs to feel special, what'll push so-and-so's buttons if you wanted to, like if you wanted to create the drama. So fawning is very common with empaths. It goes like on the lower aspects of it. You will people please, you will submit, you will totally forgo all of your needs to meet somebody else's to try and make your environment safe. And then you've got more of the overfunction style of the fawner, which then becomes the hero, the rescuer, or the wounded healer. And that's where you think by helping others and making you really valuable, it's going to gain you love and safety. Where what it really does is just take away other people's power. So what can happen when you're looking at between like the fawner and the narcissist playing out? It can come in one of 2 ways. You can have it come in the way that you've got the narcissist that likes to take and control, and you can completely collapse into the people pleasing and be really taken advantage of. Or you go the other aspect where you want to sort of hero rescuer, and you see the narcissist as like this broken bird that you want to fix, and that you can fix them and help them. And then what happens is they just take from you, but then eventually they then turn back on you, because in you trying to help them, you actually haven't empowered them at all. You've just taken away their power. So it's sort of like they bite the hand that feeds them, and you feel that you've just been taken advantage of, and that you gave them all this stuff, but they never gave anything back, and they don't value you. And this is how the 2 play out. So until the fawner learns to recognize what is narcissistic behavior and starts to implement boundaries and speak up for what they need when things don't feel right, and learns to slow time down enough so they're not reflex reacting to a situation, then it's literally lock and key. They just love each other. And you will continually create situation after situation after situation where you'll feel, even if it's just on a micro level, that your needs weren't valued, seen, recognized, or that you gave too much, or that maybe you shouldn't have been paying for something when you did, or you thought the agreement was different, but instead of saying something, you just went with it anyway. These are all like micro levels of fawning. And it's about recognizing it so that the next time you're given the opportunity, you can choose something different. Does this make sense?
Yeah. And do you know what? You know what I love? So I'm about to teach next week, literally a week's worth of relationship sovereignty to other practitioners. And we delve deep into the narcissism part of relationships. And Kelly and I were just speaking before this. I was quite upset. I had a bit of a teary moment because I'm in agreement with a narcissist at the moment. And I thought I had been through it and I was over it and I was done. And I went into the fawning aspect again. And it's still there. So my point of telling you guys this is this. There's no end. There's no destination to your healing process. You know, and when things come up and you might have fallen into that pattern again, there's no point beating yourself up again. Just learn by it, you know. And Kel and I now like, hey, let's have an agreement on this. Let's, you know, before any of this happens, let's chat together. And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Because Kelly and I both the fawners.
Yeah. We'll easily go along with it to keep the peace.
We'll easily go along
unless we stop and go, hang on a minute, that didn't meet the original agreement.
Yeah.
Let's check in. What do we want? How do we want to handle this? And this is, I still remember when I was first given the homework of, and this you can play this game. It's a yes is a yes, a maybe is a no, and a no is a definite no.
Yeah.
So, and the way that it works is if somebody asks something of you or asks if you want to go do something, you need to check in with your body to see whether you're getting like a fuck yes, 100% yes to it, move towards it. Great, go ahead. But if there's any like, I don't know, not sure, like, doesn't quite feel right, could feel right, all this like indecision, that's a maybe, that's a no.
That's a no.
That's just a no. And then a no is obviously a no. And it's the process of implementing this fun little game is it actually allows you to slow down the reflex reactions that would naturally happen within your nervous system, because situations will present themselves where you won't even realize, like, you know, partner might ask, hey, do you want to go out for dinner? And you just really want to stay in your pajamas and you know, watch TV and eat dinner in bed. But you'll go without even thinking about it, purely because they asked the question. You'll naturally assume they want to go out to dinner and you'll be like, sure, I'll go out to dinner. When you've actually, it's a reflex, but you've overridden what you're wanting.
Yeah.
And this is where it's literally like slow time down process. And when you slow the time down, you'll actually hear the internal dialogue and you'll think that you're going a little bit crazy at the beginning, because you're actually hear what's going on in your thought process that creates the automatic reaction, and slowing things down. And people in your world will start, and this is people in your world who aren't even narcissists, when they start noticing the difference in behavior, they'll be like, oh, that's a bit strange. So if you are going to take on this project and play with it with people in your world, let them know what you're doing, and that you're doing this because if you have fawning and you are attracting narcissists, then you are definitely self-abandoning. And when you've been self-abandoning for a long time, to learn to put yourself first, it literally feels like death inside your nervous system. And to say no to somebody is a really scary thing. Or to say that you don't want to do something, you want to do something else instead, it's like, because you're potentially risking how them being upset. And if you are dealing with a narcissist, a no to a narcissist is a personal attack.
I have some great responses of how to build boundaries.
Great. Let's
all right. Are you ready?
Ready.
Guys, get a pen and paper. Thank you so much for asking me. Not right now, but remember to ask me again another time.
Amazing.
right?
I
So
love
it's
it.
a soft no. And that's what I used to use at the beginning because I said yes to everything. And then I'd be absolutely fucking exhausted. And when I would fall in a heap, I'd be like, well, where is everybody? No one would be around because that's the kind of life that I created. I created that I would be the one around, not anybody else. So I had to learn boundaries. I had to learn to say no. But I couldn't just go, no, because it would feel
Yeah.
I would still want to like literally vomit or shit myself, like literally.
Yeah, because it's dangerous.
That's my nervous system.
Yeah.
My nervous system was like, you want to shit yourself because, you know, when you're nervous, you shit yourself.
Yeah, you do. That's the
yeah,
adrenaline.
throw up, or you want to pee a lot, right?
Yep.
So I had to learn scripting of what felt nice to me that was still gentle. Or I would say, oh my God, thanks so much for helping me. Thanks so much for asking. I would love to, but just not today. That'd be great though, another time. And then you can say that a few times and then they just stop asking you.
Yeah.
But you haven't said no to them. So it's a really nice, gentle way to start building boundaries. So I got to tell you, I've only been starting to build boundaries for myself in the last probably 3 to 4 years. My business partner, Shani Faye Chambers, she's got the most amazing boundaries. I had none. None. I didn't know what boundaries were. And so she taught me boundaries. It was one of the greatest gifts that has ever been given to me, because a no to somebody else is a big fat yes to me. Yeah. And I can't do what I do and serve in divine service if I'm exhausted.
Correct.
You know, and it's funny because I've gone into this fawning, you know, how I was telling you that just before this podcast that Kelly and I were talking, and I've gone into a fawn with a particular friend, client, sort of we do things for each other, and I'm tired. You know, I don't feel good. I was sad. I was really super pissed off. And at first off, it was with him. And then I found out actually it's with me because I fawned. I went into that old pattern that doesn't feel good for my nervous system. It doesn't feel good for my heart, doesn't feel good for my adrenal systems, doesn't feel good at all. You know, and it's funny because on the weekend, I don't drink coffee. And on the weekend, I'm going, I need a coffee. I need a coffee. And it's whenever I'm really fatigued or I'm in my adrenals, I'm looking for that hit. And it all stemmed from fawning, not being in my center, not being in my centered space of who I know I am. I let myself be sucked in again.
Yeah. And it is when we fawn, we're leaking energy all over the place. And we wonder why we feel so drained. And so I know for me, like you spoke about your past, how you had like narcissists around you. And for me, my dad definitely had narcissistic behavior. Like he had the rageaholic, he had the control, he had the manipulation. There was a lot of like what falls under like the typical things that would make up a narcissist. However, knowing his trauma history and also knowing who he is at heart, I don't believe he's a true narcissist, but he definitely had narcissistic behavior from a very active fight style defense mechanism because of his trauma past.
Yes.
And how that coded me, and then how I went on into like my relationships, I somehow took in, because I still remember up until I was really young, up until the ages of like maybe 10, this is just before I started skiing, I knew the way for me to get attention in the family is if I was sick. And then, but I had like a huge file at the hospital. They had to open a second file for me. Like this was, I knew that if I pretended to be sick, then I would get mum's attention away from dad because he would just like suck it out of her. And it was the only way that I could get attention. I also knew how to placate dad because I knew like exactly if things were getting too heated between him and mum, I knew exactly how to jump in. I knew exactly how to control the situation. I was so astute to what was going on there to protect mum, keep mum safe, with like, if a 10-year-old can do that. And then I remember as soon as I started skiing and I started winning and my professional water skiing career took off, then I realized, I get way more attention by winning. And that was how I showed my value. So my fawning got an extra layer too. If I can prove my value and prove my worth, I will be loved and kept safe. So in all relationships, I would go in full guns blazing, look at all these amazing things that I can do for you and look at how valuable I am.
Yeah.
And then always feel like if they didn't have the same program as me, which they very rarely did, because I was like an absolute magnet for the narcissist, that when beauty, you'll do all these things for me. Great. I don't have to do anything. And I remember looking at some of these people, like at the time that were in my life, like particularly through my 20s, where I was like, I wish I could just take like that. I wish I could just just do what I want and not give a shit about how that affects other people, because the way that my nervous system was coded, it just wouldn't allow for it. I could never do it. And then in unplugging and learning this, one, I just don't attract these people anymore. Like this little thing that we were talking about before is the first time in 10 months where I bumped up against this again. And I was like, damn it, fell into it again. Just
it's been a year for me.
Just fell into it a little bit, which is okay, because then I see the growth, because I've been able to catch it and nip it in the bud, that I've seen the behavior this quickly and recognized it. And even though I've fallen, I can still go down a different street. There's a saying in NLP that goes something like, I'm walking down a street, all of a sudden, crash, bang, boom, wow, like I'm in the dark, it's cold, it's damp, I've got no idea where I am. Oh, I realized I've fallen in a hole. I climb out of the hole and keep walking down the street. I'm walking down the street again. I go back down that same street. I know there's a hole. I tell myself there's a hole there. Crash, bang, boom. Fuck, I'm in the hole again. So I do what I did before. I climb out of the hole and I keep walking down the street, have to go down that street again. I tell myself there's a hole. I tell myself I'm not going to fall in the hole this time. I'm going to go around the hole. I get to the hole. Fuck, I fall in the hole. So this time, at least I realized there was a hole. I know I'm in the hole. I climb out of the hole. I get out. I finish the street. Going down that same bloody street again. I tell myself there's a hole. I tell myself I'm going to walk around the hole. I walk around the hole. I don't fall in the hole, and I keep going, and I give myself a pat on the back. I'm walking down the street. I see that street, and this time I choose a completely different street. And this, I kind of feel, is like the best metaphor for what it really is to be unplugging out of this point of attraction where you've been involved with narcissists, if you've been a fawner. And that's literally the journey of it. Like, you've got to be okay. Sometimes you're going to fall in the hole. Sometimes you're going to walk around the hole, and to be compassionate with yourself and to be gentle with yourself and get that it's a journey. And I also want to put in here too, like, if any of our listeners are listening and they're like, well, like, I do rage sometimes, and I do try and control things when I feel uncertain, and I don't handle feedback very well, and it does feel like it's a personal attack, and it does make me want to attack. I just want to put a disclaimer in that we're not saying here that you're a narcissist, because it could just be an active fight defense mechanism because of trauma. And the way you'll know whether you're a narcissist or not, if you're a narcissist, you probably already stopped listening. If it's just
if you're a narcissist, you probably won't even listen
click on this
podcast. You wouldn't even click on.
And if it's fight defense mechanism with narcissistic behavior because of trauma, how you'll know that you're starting to dissolve it and that you're 100% not a narcissist, you've got trauma healing to do, is that when you start putting yourself in other people's shoes and imagining how would they experience what's just happened, you start to build the empathy muscle. True narcissists don't have empathy.
No.
When you start to
you can't teach it either.
You can't teach it. You either have empathy or you don't. But if you do find that your natural reaction to uncertainty or to triggers is that it's the anger, the rage, the control, or the attack, is start putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and start asking your questions like, okay, if I was to assume generously about the person in front of me, if I was to assume that they love me, they care about me, and that they wouldn't be intentionally trying to hurt me, what else could they possibly be trying to communicate? What could have I done that would have them feeling like this? And when you get out of your own headspace of this is about me and start going, okay, Why could this person possibly be bringing this to my attention? What could they possibly be feeling? How could have my behavior potentially impacted on them? Did I stop and think about them? And you start asking these more reflective questions, you'll be able to access your empathy, and you'll be able to avoid falling in that hole that we were talking about before.
Do you know what? Can we all stop? Like, this is a big thing. We've got to stop hating on narcissists. Yeah. Narcissists are one of the most broken people. They have no self-worth. I mean, nothing, that they constantly need outside validation.
Yeah. And the abandonment wound is so deep.
It's so big. So anything, even if they said to you, oh, hey, can you pass me a fork? And you go, yep, just give me a second. That's abandonment to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this big festering freaking pus wound that they've got in them. And every no, every, you know, not bowing to everything, not believing them, their grandioses. Oh my God, the lies they can say, it's all to fulfill this emptiness within them. Yeah. And they can't fill it. They don't fill it. They don't know how to fill it.
No, and they believe their own delusions about how great they are.
Yes.
They fully convince themselves. It's sort of like you'll find with narcissists, they have this level of bravado where they, like the grandioses of how great they are, but they've got no physical evidence of them actually doing that. Or when that belief gets challenged, they crumble or they attack. They don't have the emotional resilience or empathy or compassion that somebody else who isn't narcissistic at core has.
And you'll also find that the narcissist, when they're in a low space, they're suicidal.
Yeah.
They cannot see a way out. They cannot see a way out. There is no way out. They won't sit there and go, hey, I might be able to call my best mate, or hey, I might be able to see a therapist, or hey, I might be able to go and talk to this or listen to a podcast. Or they don't see it. They don't feel it. They don't say, oh, hey, I might be able to go and meditate or have a bath. They don't see it. They are in an absolute hole of a place.
Yeah. And they've literally manufactured a mind reality that is not true. Like what they think is happening around them is not. And the paranoia. So
they're directing their own movie.
Yeah, they're directing their own movie and they can't see anything outside of it. And you know, so like a tale, like the biggest tale of over like dysregulated nervous system is judgment, criticism, and comparison. And you'll find a lot like with people that have either like narcissists or narcissistic behavior are very prone to judgment, criticism, and comparison externally of others. And you'll hear it. They will use that to try and either to, like if you approach them about something, they will either manipulate the situation, and this is where the gaslighting comes in. They'll put it all back on you, like you're the person with the problem and you're the one that is seeing things incorrectly. And over time, like it does make you doubt everything. And I have been in a relationship like that where that mind manufactured all sorts of realities, and there were completely different standards where this person could do whatever they wanted and I couldn't be home after dark, or I couldn't go connect with my friends because it would mean something. So there's like, when you're looking at these different behaviors, you've got to like really assess too. This is the other thing. Like if you're looking at what point do you call a relationship, if you are in a relationship with a narcissist, if this was to be the rest of my life and nothing changed, could I live with that?
Because we're going to tell you something. Nothing's going to change.
Nothing's going to change.
If they're a true narcissist, nothing's going to change.
No.
If you've got behavioral problems, got narcissistic behavior problems, absolutely they can heal from that.
Yeah, and you'll see the progress.
The trauma, right?
Yep.
That's I've seen lots and lots of narcissistic behavioral people, and they are not narcissistic behaviors anymore. It's a practice. It's a practice, but you have to go deep in the unconscious mind and heal the trauma that went on. And how they developed, it's from 2 points of thumb. One is it's from childhood. It's from the ages of 0 to 7. Most narcissists behavioral narcissism. This is either neglected emotionally as children, or they have helicopter parents they're very entitled. No, you're the most perfect child all the time. I'll get it for you. I'll do this. No, don't you do it. Mummy will do it. Mummy will do this. Mummy will do that. And these kids are just everything spoon fed to them. Oh, you want McDonald's 5 days a week? You can have
No
McDonald's,
problem.
darling. Anything you want. Mummy, get it. Daddy, get it. They have an entitlement. And that absolutely can be healed.
Yep.
100%. But the true narcissist, no, nothing can happen there, because it's actually a chemical imbalance. It's a biology in the brain. They cannot be in empathy, and they'll make you think that you're nuts.
Yep.
They'll actually make you think you're crazy. But there is something you can do to play the game. And I do say this to my couples that I see that are either choosing to stay in the relationship together, or they've separated, but there's children involved. When you break up with the narcissist, the true freaking devil will come and rear its ugly head. It is horrible to watch. And so say if I'm married to a narcissist and I want the divorce, which is what happened to me with my first husband, he got extremely nasty. Extremely nasty. What you need to do, he has nothing to do with my boys. I lived in London for 7 years. I'm here. But what I do say to a lot of my couples is, if they need, what the narcissist will do, they will gaslight the children into hating the other parent. And they will lie. So the best way to play it is playing a game, and it will go against every freaking grain in your body. But if you want some kind of peace and quiet around it, you have to play the game and play either to their victim or to their hero, because they are never wrong. They're never the villain.
Yeah.
You're either the victim, oh, poor me, or, oh, look how fucking awesome I am. That's how you have to play it. So if you want them to babysit or to look after or be nicer or something, there's a couple of things you can use. And one to play the victim is, yeah, you know what? I really noticed that you really probably need more time with the kids. I see that now, because you're a really great parent and I love the way you parent. And you know what? I see that you're probably hard done by not having Bobby on Saturday night. And then they'll say, it's about time you saw that. I'm going to have Bobby Saturday night. And then you just got yourself a babysitter. Playing the game.
Yeah.
It's playing the game. And it'll make you fucking sick and you'll want to argue with them, but you're literally speaking Japanese to a tree. They don't fucking get it. They don't get it. You're asking a fish to climb a tree. They don't understand it. They never will. You can scream till you're blue in the face, but you can't wait for the narcissist to change for you to heal. You can heal with them being exactly the freaking same.
Yeah, you can. You do have to remove yourself from the environment though.
100%. Get out. Get out.
Yeah. And because the other thing too, like you'll see, and this is, I've never seen anything like this before, but the particular person where I experienced this, it would be like something would happen and it would land in terms of why what happened was wrong. And there'd be promises to never do it again. And then literally a week, 2 weeks later, same thing. And I was naively under the assumption of, so Stan Tactic wrote this amazing, he's got amazing books on relationships, but this particular one, your brain on love, the biology of love. And it talks about, it goes into attachment theory, but he refers to it as a wave, island, and an anchor, whereas attachments, secure, help me out, Em, secure.
I don't know. I don't know this.
Oh, I can't remember. It's going to come back to me anyway. But the way that he talks about attachment, and then he talks about the emotional security of any relationship is the most important piece of any relationship. And he talks about creating a couple bubble. And a couple bubble says, if there's something going on with your person, you jump in and do whatever you need to do to help them feel safe and regulate their nervous system. And then it's on that person to go and do the work, so they stop bringing that back to the security of the couple bubble. Because what happens if that doesn't get healed and you keep bringing that level of instability into the couple bubble, what happens? The emotional trust gets broken, and there goes your intimacy, there goes your sex life, there goes your trust, there goes all those beautiful things that you cultivate in a relationship, and a relationship being for love. So, and what would happen, so this is where you have to be really conscious of who you're with, because if you're an overactive fauna and if you're with somebody who's got narcissistic behavior, you can't play that game, because the fauna will continually forgo, oh yeah, I'll be there, I'll help you, and then you go do your stuff. But if that person isn't shifting enough, every time the fauna self-abandons, it puts a seed of resentment in their heart, and that builds and builds and builds. And if this doesn't shift quickly enough, the relationship just falls to pieces. And that can be said not just in intimate relationships, friendships, business partnerships, whatever term of close relating. If that behavior is there, if you've got somebody in your life where there's constantly the same problem coming up, and you're jumping in to be there for them, to support them, and they're not going away and doing the work to resolve what's having that come to the table in the first place, then that's where you need to seriously look at, is this a relationship that you want to keep? Because if that behavior doesn't get healed, they literally just forget that it appears they show empathy, and then they just go back and do the same thing again. It's wild. I've never experienced anything like it before.
Yeah. One of the biggest things in a relationship, if you ever want to know, should I be in this relationship or not, is ask yourself this question. Do I want that person? Do I need that person? If you go, oh, I need them, get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. If you want them, stay. Mm-hmm. Because if you need them, it means your nervous system is depending on them to regulate you. Mm-hmm. You're looking for something outside of you to give you self-worth.
And safety and security.
And that's when you're in a bad relationship, that the relationship becomes mother-son, or brother-sister, or brother-brother, sister-sister relationship. You stop fucking. You stop the intimacy. Yep. And intimacy is the thing, or sex in a relationship is the part that is the difference between having a friendship and having a lover relationship. Yeah. But it's one question you want to ask yourself. Hang on, do I need this relationship, or do I want it? And if you go into the need of it, get out, do work on yourself and get out.
Yeah. And even ask to, excuse me, thank you. And you can even ask, do I actually like this person?
And do I like me with this person? Do I like who I am? Because I didn't like me at all. When I was married to my first husband, there was glimpses of me that I thought were great. But as time went on, I really didn't love me at all. I'd lost myself completely. Mm-hmm. I was very controlled. If I invited a friend around, they didn't last very long because they were made to feel so uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of jealousy, I remember I would go out for lunch with my mum, and then I'd be accused of us picking up men.
Oh God. Yes, my mum's my wingman.
I'm like, what? And then I'd have Jack, and Jack was a newborn on this little, the baby carriers on me. He goes, oh, you're out picking up men with your baby and your mother. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, because I look hot as fuck right now.
Yeah, it's wild.
But then you spend the rest of the afternoon trying to convince them that
that's not what you were doing.
And then, the next Saturday when your mum says, hey, you want to go out for lunch? You're like, nah, because it's too much hard fucking work when I get home.
Yeah.
So I was very isolated. I was very isolated from my family, very isolated from friends. They want you on your own.
They do.
Because that's when they can control you. So if they're causing arguments with your mates, they're bitching about your mum or your dad, or bitching about your family, they're clear signs. Yeah. If they're trying to isolate you, it's a clear sign.
Red flags. And if you're saying no to doing things because you don't want to upset this person, Red flag.
Red flag, red flag. And you know what? Each relationship that you're in, you got to remember it's not one big thing that you went, oh, there was a big red flag, I had to leave. You missed about 50 little flags.
Yeah.
There's a ton of flags on the way.
Yeah, there's a thing that I saw. I was on Instagram. Did I share this with you? Where it's like their therapist says, you saw the red flags, right? And you say, yeah, I thought I was at the carnival.
Yeah. Yes, you said it.
So
it's
good.
Not
I
a
was
carnival.
like, no, it's not a carnival and it's not free rides. Some of the rides are all at your expense. Don't get on. Red flag. Get off.
You know, and I think the biggest thing is they make you feel like no one else will want you.
Yeah. That's where it finishes. But where it starts is they usually love bomb. And they make
you
feel
yes,
like
they love bomb all over you.
Specialist person in the whole world.
Do you know what they'll do especially? So if you meet a narcissist and you're not sure, they'll say this kind of languaging to you. I just love how easygoing you are. You're so cool. You're just so easygoing. And I tell you why, or they'll say, oh, you're just not even a drama person. I love it. Because what they're doing is they're priming you for their drama that they're about to drop on you very soon. Because they're drama kings and queens. They love the drama. They can't be bored.
Oh, no.
They cannot be bored. So they will cause drama, 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 drama. And when you sit there and you'll say to them, oh my God, you're causing so much drama, they'll flick it on you that you're actually the drama queen, and they'll go, or the king, and they'll say, I thought you were so easygoing. And then you'll start questioning yourself. Yeah, but I thought I was easygoing. Maybe I am a drama going, get the fuck out. Right? So as soon as they start saying, when you meet someone and they love bomb, they'll bomb all over you. Oh my God, you're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. And you're so easygoing. I love that you're not a drama person. Massive red flag. Get out.
Yeah. And the other, like another telltale sign, this, I look at this, if I'm meeting new people and they tell me they've got no long-term friendships and they're constantly changing social circles every few years because of something to do with those people, for me now, that's a red flag. I've got relationships.
Kel. Yeah.
There's a common denominator and I don't think it's the other people.
Yes.
And when I've got relationships that are like 10, 15 years long.
I've got, I'm
more, 20 years long.
Yeah, I've got a Zoom meeting after this, and Steph and I were at school together from 12 and we're 50.
Right. And this is like people that can maintain long-term friendships generally have a fair bit of emotional stability and can relate well to others. But if you're dealing with, like, if you're meeting someone new and they're showing all the right things and they're making you feel really great, yet they've got no long-term friends, or the stories of like them changing social circles, or that it was always about other people, just move forward with caution. There's a reason 100%. For that.
And you know, if you're kind of a magnet to these needy, you know, I call them the energy vampires. If you're one of those people who gets sucked into that, you got to look at yourself and go, why? What purpose? For what purpose am I doing this? And what is it fulfilling in me? And you need to see somebody. You know, you can read books and stuff, but you actually need to do some really deep work. You know, you need to invest in yourself. It amazes me how many people don't freaking spend money on their mental or their stress levels or their heart, you know.
I know, it's crazy.
I'm constantly fucking
me too. Before we jumped on, I literally said, Emma, I was like, oh, look at this cool new healing thing that I went and did yesterday.
Exactly. Like, I'm getting one today at 1:30. I'm getting sound bars, you know. I'm like, oh, I'm in it. I'm like, give me all the goods.
I've got somatic therapy at 1:00 today. Like, if you're not doing work on yourself and spending money on yourself these days, it's just not cool. Like
100%.
If you really want to get the most out of life, you got to be willing to put your time, energy, and money into it. Otherwise, you know, when you're dealing with something, it's always the best of your thinking, the best of your knowing, the best of you has got you to this place. If you want to go beyond the best of your thinking, the best of your creation, you need to get help from people that have already done it.
100%. Exactly right. And you know what? you're worth the investment.
Mm.
You know, that's a self-worth thing. Trust me, when I had no self-worth, I wouldn't work on myself. I was just too busy trying to placate everybody else and look after everybody else. But when you start with the self-worth, you go, wow, I am the most important person here. Because if I'm not 100%, if I'm not filling my own cup, my husband suffers, my kids suffer. You know, I can't wife, I can't parent. I definitely can't do the work I'm doing now, you know, into my divine service purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot do it.
Yeah.
You have to invest in yourself. You're the number one.
Yeah, you just got to do it. And for those of you that are like, oh, but I don't have the time, I would invite you to have a look at where you're spending this time, because I know you mentioned before about the drama. I know for me, so dysregulated nervous systems don't like stability, because stability feels boring. And you might not be the one who's creating the drama. You might be the easygoing person that attracts the drama, like we spoke. You might be the drama person. But for me, I was not so dramatic myself, but I love the drama of other people, and I love being able to swoop in and try and save the day. Oh my God, that was crack for me. Like, you wave that flag, I would be there. And now it's like drama. Like, if I hear people talking about like their self-loathing or a bit of drama going on, I'm like, I'm just going to go sit over there. I'm not even going to.
Can I tell you how I get my drama? This is going to
TV.
I'm going to tell you how I fulfill, because everybody likes a bit of excitement, a bit of drama, right? A bit of gossip, a bit of drama. I'm not kidding. This is how I get it. You ready for this? Guys, it's going to save your lives. I love the Real Housewives of whatever it is. So it could be Melbourne, it could be New Jersey, Jersey, it could be New York. That's how it fulfills. So I watch it. I can self-regulate. I don't need it to be created in my life. I don't create it, and I don't invite it in. I watch it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I
love it.
Watching a Netflix series.
I love it. That's how I get it, because everybody needs that. They need some kind of it. And it also makes me really appreciate my relationship.
Right?
I go, God, my life is good. Especially when I'm watching maths and I'm like, oh, I'd love to be on that panel of experts there. They would be getting what for, let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh my God. And even some of them, it's like, I love like watching those sort of, even maths one that I love too, but like watching from a coaching perspective, it's like
100%.
It's like intellectual porn. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, I know. It's fabulous. It's so good. Yeah. Guys, just before we finish, if any of you are practitioners and you're worried about, well, what if I attract a narcissist client? There is one way to get around that. It's a bit of a filter. And I want to share it with you. So if you're seeing a client, whether it's one-to-one in your rooms or it's on Zoom, have a clause like a terms and conditions. And if you want my terms and conditions, please email me. I'll send it to you. And all you have to do is add your name on it so you can use it for yourself. But I record all my sessions. A narcissist will not want to be recorded because they cannot argue the truth then. They can't gaslight you. Gotcha. So you will literally siphon out any narcissist or narcissistic behaviors down to that one little filter. It is a game changer in your business. And you are welcome.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And because it gives you that bit of a safeguard.
Yeah, 100%. It gives you a safeguard. So whether you're even going to record it or not, just put, I record all sessions, and no one will say anything. They'll be like, yep, they'll sign it away. It'll be the narcissist. I don't want to be recorded.
I actually like my sessions recorded.
So do I. Yeah, I do too.
I like to look.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We are loving these podcasts. This was a big one today, Kel.
This was a really big one. There was a huge lot in there. Let us know your thoughts, your comments. Remember, come over to the Facebook group. Let's continue the conversation there. What's your experience been? Do you find yourself having some like fight defense mechanism reactions when you feel a little bit out of control, or have you noticed that you've been more embodying something, the fawning aspects, and you're going on your own healing journey of unplugging from that to release your point of attraction towards these behaviors? So let us know, where are you at, what's going on for you, how would you like to be supported?
Yeah.
And if there's
We've got you. We love you guys. We got you.
we so got you.
We got you, girl. And boys.
Yeah,
All
remember,
the others.
share us around, tag your friends, spread the love. We love you. And yeah, I guess, and we'll see you on episode 10.
All right. Love ya.
Bye.